Okay, welcome. This should be the start of a new video for YouTube. We are here, and let me just make sure that it is known. We are on difficulty 9. Enemies are level... Sorry, my cursor was on the screen. Enemies are level 111,000, okay? And this is realm depth 190. It is the boss Scylla and Charybidis. Not sure how to say that, but I hope you'll forgive me. Looks like we found a good realm that fits them, at least thematically. We didn't have that much trouble getting to the boss, actually. We will take a quick look at the enemy's stats, but with all the... Sorry, I skipped that turn, but here... one of them has 54 million HP, and 1.2 million defense. It's very bad because we don't debuff stats, so those stats are going to stay like that. So after this creature is killed, its partner gains 200% of its stats. Okay, that's very bad. So those stats that are in the millions are going to double once we kill one of them. So let's see how we fare. I'm a little bit worried that we just... Let me target these ads first. I'm a little bit worried that just we're gonna run out of resurrection triggers, because I feel that as if at some point these enemies are gonna start one-shotting us. But we will see, we will see. We have a lot going for us. Our stat gain from our white is doubled. Our green-white. We gain like 1.5 times the attack that we usually got, and for all the stats that we gain, we also gain HP for. We added 2 God Spawn, Darkstalker, and Kalasag. Darkstalker gains 50% of the stats of each dead creature, but only while they're dead. Which is made so much more effective because all our creatures have increased stat gain to begin with. And then, excuse me, Kalasag, at the start of each turn that the unit with Kalasag takes, they will revive a creature. So it's just a little insurance. I did figure out what was happening with my race changes and my creatures innate, like their race changes. I believe I was casting evolution, and then whatever the other spell is that changes your class, your minions' classes. Because our Scourge Assan's ability is, it's not to cast 5 spells that you have. It's to cast 5 random spells every time you're resurrected. So it's a bit of scariness, a bit of uncertainty that we do have in our build. I might be looking at replacing that with something more stable and reliable. Just so we don't have like stuff like our unit's traits changing, you know. And after we kill one of these units, I think we will take a look at our stats, because once we get there, the stats should be through the roof. Our Terror White already has 200,000 HP at realm depth 190. We do not... Our build is very near to completion. There's only one thing that could be changed is we have a trait that removes our debuffs every turn. But I feel like that could be replaced with Myrtle's Greed, which is a Nether Boss trait. That unfortunately we won't unlock until we get to maybe like realm depth 415 or something after we fight all the tier 3 versions of the Nether Bosses. I'm pretty pleased with myself. This build is... It's not having any trouble at all against these difficulty 9 enemies. I don't want to speak too soon, but our team is mostly staying alive. This has been this whole time. Yeah, our build's doing exactly what it needs to do. We will be fighting the next 4 Nether Bosses, at least, on difficulty 9. Just so we have a full video for them. Let's see our stats. Our stats are still like nothing compared to the enemies, but they're a lot higher than they've ever been. Our Terror White has almost 300,000 attack. The defense and speed are not bad. So yeah. The next thing that we're gonna push for is maybe difficulty 9, Instability 5. That one's a lot more of a gamble, and also a lot more challenging. So I don't know if it's possible at this point in the game, but I'm not averse to giving it a try. Thankfully, because of our indirect damage, we've been killing both bosses at about the same rate, so they won't get too much of a chance to utilize their... Oh, I spoke too soon. When one of them died, the other gained all the HP that the other one had. So, I thought they were both almost dead, but it doesn't look that way. Thankfully, we have taken so many turns that we're doing a ton of damage. And we're still scaling higher and higher. I wonder how we got those other minions. Like, I see we have spiderlings, animated gems, and like animated weapon, I think it is. At least I have a doppelganger. It must be from like the random spellcast. So actually, having the random spellcast isn't all bad. How long did that fight take? Not very long at all. If we hadn't made all these changes to this build, this fight would have gone on for at least twice as long. And we got him. Okay, let's go. That was Nether Boss 25, I believe. Scylla and Charybidis. So I will see you on YouTube in the next video. For now, have a good one. Thank you. We are here at Realm Depth. What's it called? How do I get back to the map? Anyway, you can see that we are on Instability 5 because not just having it on difficulty 9 was not hard enough. So I figured we'd go all in. This is Vitja. However you say that. I believe we fought this monster during the main story. Yeah, I do seem to remember all these gem monsters. The realm properties, it's like the enemies have extra defense. We take 46% of our HP as damage each turn. We have like less intelligence. That's not relevant though. It didn't seem that bad. This is, we found the boss portal right away, so this is our first encounter with this realm's enemies. Doesn't seem to be so bad. Let's see what's going on. After one of their creatures is killed, they cast 5 random spells, And this creature is immune to damage while its allies are alive. Okay. They all have extra traits though because of the instability. Thankfully it's not relevant. So, as always, we'll just auto battle. We want to revive the white. We might as well. All of our units have resurrection triggers. As soon as the Dusk Oss sign takes a turn, though, he'll automatically revive. We should target one of the gemlings, though. Not that we'll be doing much in the way of killing the enemies right away. Thing is, their stats were... I didn't look at them, but I'm sure they're in the millions. It probably would be prudent to look at the other enemy traits. I don't disagree, but since there's no chance of us killing them until later in the fight, it's not necessary. Our damage will spread out naturally due to the nature of our indirect damage from the minions. We could probably at least target something that doesn't have rebirth. It probably would expire by the time we were able to kill it, but just for good measure, we'll switch targets. Luckily, we're getting a lot of minions from our random spell casts. So our Necromancer traits, our Necromancer perks are doing a lot more work than they normally would be. I should have turned on the battle music. This is a little low intensity music for the battle, the stakes that we're putting on this fight. I apologize, but it's not bad music. It's casting Schism a lot of times. I don't know what that spell does. Sometimes it appears that when my units die and then resurrect, it looks like they lose all the life that they gained from Hardy Appetite, but just for a second, they gain it right back, if I'm reading it right. I've heard that with Necromancer, it's really easy to push. You don't really run into that many challenges. And I think we're proving it right now because we are putting up our, this is just the first encounter of this Nether boss. It's the tier 1 version. But even with all the maximum amount of difficulty modifiers, we are still holding our own. Unfortunately, we don't have knowledge on these units. We can't see their HP bars besides the boss. I'm a little confused because the boss's trait said it was immune to damage until its allies were dead, but it seems to be at 50% HP. It's possible that it just gained a lot of maximum HP though. Thankfully it has blighted, so it can't heal. We got one of them down. I wonder if our Manticore will resurrect. That is a Manticore. It just has a ghostly skin on it, so it fits with the theming of our team, the Necromancer team. It would be interesting to turn on the battle text, at least for the next fight, just to see how much damage we are doing. This fight, they haven't killed our units nearly as much. So, if we had resurrection, maybe we ran out of resurrection triggers, because the Dusk Assign is the one with the Callous Egg trait to revive at the start of turn. We'll try to manually revive them. Where are my revives? My spells have been randomized. So maybe if we go to a unit that doesn't have ethereal spell gems, we can revive our units. No? No, that's our sorcery unit. Our life units are on the very right. It looks like they're all life right now just because we cast a random spell. So once we get to Darkstalker, our Manticore has the extra attack gain trait, so it's nice to have them around. Although there's not... We're winning pretty handily, so I'm not worried. Yeah, I cast Resurrection on them, but they didn't come back. So we'll check our stats, see where they are. So I think if we die, I don't know. Our Assign just came back, but our Manticore wouldn't. So that he was probably killed by something that doesn't have the ability. That makes it so they don't have the ability to come back from death. That does exist in the game. I'm not sure exactly what ability, whose ability it belongs to, or who that ability belongs to. Sorry. But yeah, we do have resurrections left, so we are A-okay. Easy peasy. They all laughed when they said, "Oh, you're playing Necromancer." Well, look who's laughing now. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll see you at the next Nether boss. That was difficulty 9, max Instability. So, okay, we are here at Instability 200. Sorry, Realm Depth 200. This is Nether boss 27, I believe. We are also on Instability 5 and Difficulty 9. The realm modifiers basically mean we do less damage, but I favored that over doing having more survivability. As you can see, Difficulty 9 as the last two Nether bosses. We are fighting Imp Impington. We fought him during the main story. Let's see what he's got. If you see a full team wipe, that's just normal. When the enemies have so many stats, it's very difficult to stay alive in these early rounds before we scale up. I don't see anything at a glance that could be causing us troubles. Seem to have survived the first onslaught. See what's going on. So, the Nether boss's trait is to all their creatures take 2 turns at a time. They deal damage with spells other than based on their stats. As long as they're not gaining stats, I think we'll be alright. Like 3 of them have heightened learning as their trait. And they've got a lot of healing traits as well, so this is going to be an even longer fight because one of the hidden modifier for this realm was one of them already died, if you notice that. Sometimes that happens. One of the realm modifiers was a hidden property where they could heal. Otherwise, I would have brought in the trait, the sickness, which blocks healing. 2 of them are dead. Before we even had a chance to scale up. What are their stats? He's got 62 million HP. I don't know why their HP would go down 62 million points right off the bat. Because I was prepared for a long fight. Toro is saying it might be blight damage. That's a very good possibility. If that's the case, I'm really glad we still have that rivaling trait that I'm really glad that we still have rivalings as the Necromancer. Because a lot of their traits did have to do with healing, and they did have a lot of healing on their abilities. So it could just be a case of we got lucky, and the boss just decided to kill themselves. But it's also just, that's just a natural trait of the Necromancer. The boss came back, but he also changed sprites. I don't know what caused that either. I saw that it died, and then it came back as a different sprite. That was probably just a trait of the boss. Maybe a hidden trait or something like that. I don't know if he has all those healing traits that, because I think the healing traits were on his teammates. So I don't know if we can rely on the Blighted to take him out, but looks like it might have. We got a card out of that too. Okay, very nice. That is another Nether boss. This is our 3rd Nether boss on difficulty 9. If you're watching on YouTube, I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Okay, we are back with Siralim Ultimate. This is Realm Depth 205. We're fighting Judgement and Mercy. It's a double boss. I did actually look up the trait of this boss before we got here, but I forgot to look at both of them, so one of these is a mystery to me. One of the traits was that they set our HP to 20% at the start of every turn that boss takes, but that's not a bother for our build because we resurrect with full HP most of the time. I did not. I'll make sure to show you at the end after we inevitably beat the boss. I mean, come on, we've never lost to one before. But we are on difficulty 9. I forgot to turn the instability up to 5, so it might be a little easier than the last 2 bosses that we did. But you never know. Oh, by the way, I need to look at their traits. At the start of this creature's turn, it kills enemies that are below 5% health. This is Judgement. He's got 53 million HP and at least 500,000 of all stats. And this one, at the start of his turn, he lowers all of our HP to 20%. Similar stats. Seems like a spellcaster with a good amount of intelligence. How are we doing on our team? About almost 100,000 of our main stat that we use, attack. So we're not that bad. We should be alright. This is our life unit, so he's on a macro. Does it match any criteria? Just skip turn. Just have to remember, let me get the cursor off the screen, sorry about that. We might want to look at the other units' traits that are with them. However, most of our damage comes from indirect damage, namely from our minions, the zombies. And you can't target who you want to attack with those zombies, I don't believe. Actually, It comes from both our zombies and both when we die, or when we resurrect, we attack 3 times. So the attacks are definitely not able to be targeted. Those are random targets. I'm not sure about the zombies. I think it might be who your cursor is on. But as you can see, we already defeated one of the ads. We're not doing so bad so far. We've actually got a ton of HP. You just can't tell because we're basically permanently at 20% HP this whole fight. Remember, this is only realm depth 205, so if you've been watching other content creators for this game, that might be further ahead. The numbers might be a little smaller, but they're actually quite large for where we are in the game. Before we end this fight, I just want to look at our stats one more time. Just to look at it, you know. We don't get long, drawn-out fights as much because we're going for progression. These Nether Bosses are the only fights that really take a long time. And I want to see how much we're scaling. Maybe we hit a new record of stats. The Nephilim are still, they're at like 50% HP. I'd assume the boss is maybe like 70%. But as the fight goes on, we do more damage due to 2 different apocalypse traits. One gives stat gain, one gives damage bonus. I think on Instability 5, this fight might have been kind of difficult. There's one boss down. Let's check in. Stats have basically tripled since I last checked. 300,000 attack compared to our 100,000 earlier. No macro? He should be able to defend. I gotta double check my macro on that unit. If you're watching on YouTube, this should be the last Nether boss of this video. Because we're so strong, I think there's no reason not to do the rest of the Nether bosses on difficulty 9. Instability 5 if I can remember. This build is very strong, and you know, stress testing it against all the different Nether bosses that are available is probably the best way to see if there's anything that needs to be changed. Perhaps I will you know, delve into the other specializations, maybe try this build out, the same build, but on a Purgatorian. I think that might be interesting. I'll have to see, but for now, this Nether boss, Judgement and Mercy, that was no problem at all. Our build did what it had to do, what it was built to do, and we defeated them pretty easily. Okay. Well, thank you for watching that fight. If you're watching on YouTube, I will see you at the next Nether boss. But for now, have a good one. Okay. That could be dangerous. But anyway, we are here at Nether boss, I believe 28. This is Etta. Let's see. Her trait is to force our units to attack each other, which I've never actually encountered something of that nature, where our units are confused or they have to attack each other. She's got we are on difficulty 9. Yeah, she's level 138,000, so this is difficulty 9. So 870,000 HP, that's not that bad, but she has 55 million defense. We don't have anything to debuff her defense. They've all got very high defense. At the start of battle, their creatures swap their max HP with their defense. This sorcery golem actually screwed us, because on difficulty 9 their stats are very high. Look at this shapeshifter. He has 185 million defense. When your creatures deal damage to each other, they are healed. We don't have stat debuffing. That is not something that we have utilized in this team. So without further ado, let's get this grind started. We are going to be here for a while if I am reading these correctly, if I'm understanding. They don't have anything that can... I didn't see... As long as they don't attack each other, they could attack each other. And the shapeshifter will cause them to heal. And because we have writhlings, our writhlings apply pretty much every debuff available. They're going to have both confused and blighted. So they're going to attack each other. If I understand confused, the debuff correctly, they're going to attack each other, and then when they attack each other, they're going to try to heal. And then they might take damage from blighted, which could do some damage. I don't know, that's just I'm trying to deduce a way out of this that is not going to lead us to being here for 30 minutes. We don't have anything that bypasses defense. But anyway, we should target the shapeshifter, or no, I guess we would want to target the shapeshifter last. On top of this, hold on, my cat wants out of the room. There you go, Daisy. Okay. So what was I saying? On top of them being very unkillable, at least for a long while, they are causing us to attack each other, which is going to, with the amount of attack scaling that we have, it's going to cause us to probably lose a unit every time one of our own units attacks our own unit. Maybe. Because our defense is also scaling, just not as high. It doesn't look like we're using that many units, actually. Which is okay. There's just gonna be basically a race. Like, depending on how many times our units kill our own units. That's some good damage. Like, are we gonna run out of resurrections before we have the chance to scale damage? Moonjin says in the chat that you hope that I didn't level pistol too much, because if it's level 30, the pistol relic, enemies cannot heal, and if they can't heal, blight is useless. The only relic that I have leveled up is the plate from the robot god. So we don't have to worry about that, but that for the future, that is very good intel. I should be careful not to upgrade any relics to the point where something could happen like that. Because excuse me. Sorry, I just needed some water. But at difficulty 9, if the enemies have the ability to heal, Blighted will do a ton of damage, as we saw in the last Nether boss, where basically the enemies one-shot themselves because they tried to heal, like, for their full HP. Okay, that's some good damage. It doesn't seem like our units are killing, like, their teammates very often. Thankfully, it seems that because we have the Hearty Appetite trait, for every stat that we gain, we also gain HP, like 20% of that stat as HP. I think the HP is providing a nice buffer for us to be able to tank hits, even from our own units, which have a lot of stats attack. And the enemies are slowly but surely getting whittled down. They're at about 66% HP. The only unit that is still dead is our Reclusive White, which only has a maximum of 1 HP due to a bug and trait interaction. But the white has definitely done its job. It's raised the baseline of our stats so that our extra apocalypses trait to raise our stats every turn that we take by 15%. The base stat line is a lot higher than it normally would be, so every turn that we take from now on, we'll gain many more stats than we would have if we didn't have that Bravely Inspired trait from the white. Let's just see. Our stats are okay, but it will go up, you know, proportional to how much we have at the moment. So the beginning of the fight is the longest, and the longer the fight goes on, the better we are. I think if I had to say, our attack, like our offense and our defense, would be scaling almost at an equal rate, because we're gaining HP and we're gaining defense, right? But we're gaining about like 2.5 times as much attack as the other stats. So it's an almost equal rate, and I think it's enough to sustain us, at least for a battle that might be this length. It would be interesting to see how these Nether Bosses perform at difficulty 9 when they're tier 3. These are the tier 1 Nether Bosses that we've been fighting so far. If I have time, I might consider fighting the tier 3 versions at difficulty 9. Or maybe, you know, just a select few that I think would be difficult. Maybe not the bosses that are like Blacksmith Yan, that makes his tier 3 ability is like, all of my units take 95% less damage. Like, that's not exciting. It was fun the first time we encountered it, but from this point, I don't think it's not gonna be a threat, is what I mean. This Etta boss, I thought it was gonna be more trouble than it has been, but I think this is, yeah, we're gonna be quite all right. The tier 3 version of this boss is definitely what I would consider for the maybe this, we can call it the stress testing of this build. One of the units revived, but we're doing a ton more damage now, so we are not concerned. We are losing units. Hopefully, I'm sure they'll revive. I hope. We're almost done with this fight. It would be devastating to lose everybody now. Once we get to our Dark Sulker, we will cast Resurrection manually just to make sure that we can still do it. We're out of resurrection charges. We can still use minor resurrection. It didn't work, so that it must have hit the resurrection limit on that unit. We might be cutting it close. We've only got 3 enemies left. Okay, the Manticore was able to revive. That's big. And that's the boss. Okay, got it a little close. We're running out of resurrection triggers at the last moment. Which is probably a good sign to get the card set that increases our resurrection limits. If we're cutting it that close with a boss. It might not have been that close. You can't see how many resurrection limit triggers that you have left. But if I had to guess, I'd say it was pretty balanced, that if some of our units were running out of resurrections, probably all of our units were. But anyway, if you were here for that boss fight, I do appreciate having you here. If you're watching on YouTube, I will see you at the next Nether Boss. But for now, have a good one. See ya. Thank you.